Welcome back to our third segment of YourTown television program, Artivism, how our art and our work inform social justice and how social justice issues and what's going on in our community informs our art. And I believe if we live our life authentically, it doesn't have to mean fine art like in painting or writing. It can mean also in the community in whatever endeavor we're involved in, as well as in the streets in protest and in nonviolent protest, and also in the courthouse. And so we bring back Chuck Banner for our second segment, who is with the Lakota People's Law Project as their digital evidence coordinator.
You got that right.
He's also an independent filmmaker and documentarian and director. And so let's just get right into this. Chuck is also a musician, and I just want to say, Chuck, you've written a magnificent song, poem about this indigenous issue that really takes you back into your roots to Wounded Knee. And so talk to us about some of that.
Well, I'm going to have you read it.
You'd like for me to read it?
I'd like for you to read it.
I'd be honored.
So, but what it is it's something that I wrote in '83.
Okay.
Getting involved when I started working with Yellow Thunder Camp in the Black Hills in 1981, my first foray into documentary work. I got immersed in it all, and I looked at the 1890 and 73 and 83 and just looking, and a lot of what we're talking about, this is all, and we look at Chase on the Hill and the stuff we've been talking about in these court cases, this is all a continuity that's never changed for Native people. Mm-hmm. It's the same stuff that's been happening for 500 years. Standing Rock is not like a new event that they thought, hey, let's have an event, and now we're conscious of environment, and now we're going to bring people. No. This is just the next thing that they're doing to try and live and survive. And it came to an apex because of the water and the fact that this pipeline can destroy their entire reservation by destroying its water source. And they were like, what are they going to say? Oh, we can't make it through the courts and everything's stacked against us, so we'll just kind of let it happen. No, they said enough.
Yes.
But
this they've been saying enough for a long time.
True.
But
now the world helped them say enough.
And the world
and media
and the changing climate situation, our global warming that's affecting all of us, and the planet.
Right.
And so
this is more my understanding of kind of the Wounded Knee and the warrior and the gold rush and the feds. And anyway,
I've read it, and I'm looking forward to doing it. To me, it capsulizes. You know, you and I both were at Standing Rock, and then Wounded Knee was its predecessor, and in '83, and to me it capsulizes how much the indigenous values do, in fact, naturally and for eons and generations back in their elders and their ancestry, connect with what sustains this planet.
Right.
And so they care enough to take these kinds of stands because they're that connected to it.
And what you'll see and what this is really about is the fact that when it comes down to it, when they start caring and everything, they're marginalized. They're turned into jihadists. They're turned into terrorists. The grandpas and grandmas are turned into something that have to be, put into schools and lose their language. They have to be changed as people. They don't give them the dignity or even, they're not even smart enough to listen to them. That's what we're talking about today with Chase in this earlier segment, is indigenous peoples have a solution and have a creative part of the dialogue that we just think is like this part of history books.
Yes.
But it's vibrant and it's real and it's now, and they're just as good as anybody else.
Well, and it's awake. And it's awake.
Right.
And am I blind because I don't want to see?
Right.
Am I blind because I don't want to see? So let's do this. This is a wonderful piece that you wrote, and it's called Wounded Knee '83.
It was after I started filming for the first time and went up and got involved with Lakota people.
So, I'm honored that you asked me to read it. It was freezing cold while they were walking. Someone spotted them on a hill, blue coats and horses and metal dressed to kill. I heard some of them were crazy, most of them conditioned into fear. Even though the white flag was flying, any fool could tell the end was near. Wounded Knee in 1890, when 297 fell, In the middle of the frozen scream, some lived to tell. The story to the children, the struggle of freedom through the blood, amidst bullets and madness, panning for gold in a flood. Commodities and the Badlands, dealt to the children of the sun, with BIA dreams of false freedom, the spirits on the run. Black Hills and the buffalo driven into the past, with a new breed of warriors, AIM, coming on fast. 83 years since the massacre, it was aim at Wounded Knee, with the Guard, FBI, local goon squads in a 72-day siege. Another treaty to be broken was signed by the Suits and the Pipe. AIM left the valley to the massacred, and Buddy Lamont, one lost life. Assassinated for the struggle, they've got Peltier in a cage, elders talking to the young with the pipe, making love out of rage. The sound of yellow thunder in the Black Hills, amidst a rabid city disguised in urban sprawl, Mother Goose, totin' axe handle and guns, AIM with Crazy Horse on call. Remember Wounded Knee in 1890, when 297 fell. In the middle of the frozen scream, some lived to tell. The story to the children, the struggle of freedom through the blood, amidst bullets and madness, panning for gold in a flood. Yeah.
Okay.
God bless you for writing that, my friend. So,
Then now it's kind of all the same, but now with social media, with the fact that so much, they were talking water, they were talking uranium, they were talking mining, everything back in the 80s. It's the same discussion, but now the world's waking up and global climate change is so close that people can't ignore it any longer.
well, and the team you're working with has gotten this into the federal
Has been
courts.
in the mix.
And
It's been in the mix.
has helped get this into the federal courts.
Okay, so shout out to Romero Institute,
Yes,
romeroinstitute.org,
yes.
which has a program project, which is a Lakota People's Law project. It's basically Danny Sheehan and his wife Sarah Nelson.
Tell the viewers about
Well,
them.
they go back to the Karen Silkwood case. They took on the Karen Silkwood case, stopped Kerr-McGee basically in its tracks and its uranium development of nuclear reactors for almost 35 years. They were involved in the Pentagon Papers in supporting that. They moved into the Iran-Contra affair and were the lead team that brought Ollie North and the whole Contra thing, and 2 drug lords were part of the lawsuit. They were in Greensboro. They've been a civil rights justice law and policy center nonprofit for years. Initially, it was part of the working with, and they're really an interfaith group. So Danny is the attorney, Sarah is the organizer, and they're a grassroots organization. And I think their most important work that they're doing, besides this, which is amazing, is helping local groups work within California to convert California to sustainable renewable energy over the next 6 years through the Community Choice Energy Program, which we have a great shot you can put up. It has all the group there when they got the JPA passed, and 18 out of 21 municipalities joined in the CCE amongst 3 counties. And now they're working, while I'm out in North Dakota, they have a whole office here in Santa Cruz, and they have teams working on climate change, because climate change is their...
Yes.
That's
on
it.
the ground
That's
here
it.
in California, making it happen. And there in the federal courts in North Dakota,
Right.
With this breakthrough that the legal team was able to accomplish recently,
Right.
with the help, of course, and with the, well, what would I say, the incredible courage of Chase Iron Eyes and their defendants in this,
Right.
because they're willing to not take a plea to get this necessity defense out there.
Right.
Tell people, though, what that really means, because just to say the word necessity defense, what does that really bring to the table?
Well, the idea is, if you see a fire in someone's home in their kitchen and you break down their front door to go put out the fire because no one's home, yes, you've broken their door down and entered, but you're doing it, that as a crime is of less importance than the real important problem, which is the fire. Or if you cross the yellow line to swerve out of the way of an oncoming truck. Yes, you're crossing the yellow line, but it was a necessity due to the other impact. Well, if you have the possibility of all of your water being polluted You have no way in the courts anymore of addressing it. The oil companies own all of the momentum of public opinion and infrastructure and, like Chase was saying in that video, and the media and the news and the PR, and you see there's no other recourse. What can you do if you know that that water is going to destroy your tribe, and that oil underneath that water could destroy your tribe? What are your choices? You have to choose to protest, and protest on whatever level it takes, because that's your only alternative.
Out of necessity.
And it is out of necessity, due to the fact that water being polluted for the tribe is a much greater evil or greater harm than that caused by stopping traffic.
And if I'm right, this is the first time the necessity defense has been accepted in the federal court on this level.
Well, no, there's been some that recently have happened.
Very recent.
There's been one in Boston. There's been one in the Northwest.
But for the Lakota, for the indigenous rights.
There have been 800 cases. This is the only case in all of the 800 cases, the majority of which have been handled by the Water Protectors Legal Collective, which is an amazing group of attorneys and pro-arc attorneys that have come in as part of the Lawyers Guild, that has really handled the heavy lifting for all these cases. But the Lakota People's Law Project is the only one that, because when you go into the necessity, it's an affirmative defense. So now the state has to prove that that it wasn't needed.
Yes.
That your belief was not well grounded. So now they have to prove that there's no worry about climate change. They have to prove that the pipeline wasn't moved because it was in front of a 92% white community. So then that community protested, so they moved it down to a mile and a half in front of an 82% native community. That they weren't profiling people as jihadists and terrorists, and therefore creating these kind of paramilitary mentalities that were marginalizing people even more, to where their voice was lessened more and nobody would listen.
And this opens, you mentioned climate change.
Well, and
it opens that argument up in the courthouse, rather than this little narrow argument of, did you open the door and go into that person's
correct. Specifically
property?
In the pretrial and the stuff that was filed, is the idea that there's 80 or 90 countries that have come together to stop global warming.
Yes.
Well, that's the same thing that Standing Rock was doing, going, we're with those 80 countries. We're not with the Trump administration.
Yes.
People forget, the Standing Rock worked. Obama stopped the pipeline.
For a bit, yes.
No, he stopped it and said there had to be an environmental impact statement.
That's right.
Okay? So on that level, and we all knew, right, but Trump's coming in, so.
Yeah, it was overturned by Trump.
But nonetheless, he ruled in favor.
Yes,
you know,
that's right.
Had Trump not won, what would have happened? Would the oil companies have had the thing to make Hillary, who knows what would have happened?
Well, this environmental impact statement's a huge piece to have happen, which is what normally would happen on a long pipeline that goes through.
No, but they had this great plan. They broke it up into little acre by acre things that they bought, and basically used some law that had to do with what it takes to run a pipe to your boathouse.
Obviously,
and that's how they use the law, saying they've passed all the recommendations for our little pipe on your little piece, instead of the entire breadth of what it means to be running from Alberta, Canada, or the Bakkens down to
hundreds of millions of barrels,
and the leaks and all the leaks. Yeah. So that's the necessity defense, and as part of the necessity defense, it's about being able to get to the other side and find out what was going on, because part of this is really going after the private military groups that were working with energy transfer partners to marginalize and basically support what is now a mentality. There's 50 laws trying to pass in 30 states, making it illegal to stop whatever you do to break the law. If you do something that's breaking the law and it has to do with infrastructure or pipelines, they're trying to make it felony across the board now in over 30 states. Yes. Yes. So this is the right for people to protest.
This is the front lines on this.
And what we're finding, and I know we're getting down on time, and we're not have segment 3, but part of this is the what we just found out a week ago, and what we're excited about is that finally, after 3 months, the judge came out and admonished the prosecution for delaying, for not following through with getting him material, for doing stuff like when they're supposed to get copies of all the radio traffic. Well, Your Honor, I sent an email to the guy and he didn't get back. This is literally how the prosecutor was talking. He didn't get back to me, and I can't remember when that was, and then maybe I sent another one, and the judge says, well, who was in charge of all the radio traffic? He says, well, I don't know the guy's name.
But the judge took a firm stand on
Well, the
this.
judge was kind of let this guy talk and really went after the young assistant state's attorney. And because we had, much like in Red Fawn's case and others, one of the main tactics is just to stonewall to where you can't get the discovery in,
From
and
the
the
other
trial's
side.
coming,
Yeah.
and we can't show what's going on. They just, it takes 8 days to do this, and then they file this, and then it's 8 more days to do that. And when you have a 3-month period, it fills up pretty quick. So the judge really came down and I'm talking about a very specific thing with regards to radio traffic that was going on the day of Chase's arrest. Well, during the arraignment, we asked for the radio traffic. Here it is 6-9 months later, there's I emailed the guy, and the judge said, tell you what, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. We're going to take a break. You're going to go out and find who the guy's name is that's in charge of all the radio traffic. You're going to find out what's happening to it, and you're going to have the sheriff of Morton County come in and sit here on the stand. We're recessed. 10 minutes later, the assistant state's attorney came with the name of the guy he couldn't remember.
Yes.
What happened with the evidence, which it all rolls over on 90 and 20 days, so all of the radio traffic evidence was destroyed, that they didn't get in time, which he could have gotten back then, and Kirchmeier took the stand. Yeah. So what
Kirchmeier
being the sheriff of Morton County.
Yes.
So it ended up.
What is the name of the judge that's presiding over this case?
Christofferson.
Yes, and I will just give him a shout out for taking such a wonderful stand there.
Well, and he did. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
As it goes down the road.
But you have to get to here to get to there, and he did do that.
And he did, and he told them, and he said, so what do you think I should do with the evidence destroyed? How do you think you're doing, Mr. Lingle, who's this assistant state's attorney? He said, well, I don't think I'm doing very well, Your Honor. He said, well, what would you have me do at this point? And he said, well, I don't know, Your Honor. He said, well, I'll tell you what you do. You have 24 hours to get me this, this, and this. You have 7 days to give me this, 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 and this. And you've got 30 days to not only get me all the discovery we've talked about, but you're going to get me a sworn affidavit from the sheriff Kirchmeier, and you're going to give me your own sworn affidavit that you've turned over every bit of evidence that you have in your possession or can get.
Yes, and now I want to...
Which is unheard of.
And this is a segue for one of the reasons I wanted you to come on this show right now, because your legal team is about to be flooded with discovery information.
Yeah.
In all likelihood. Otherwise, people are going to start going to jail for contempt, probably. So you'll probably get
we already have 10,000 documents.
And so they're already flooding you. And so your team has a very specific need, and there's some state-of-the-art technology that can help you meet that need. And you need some assistance in getting
You're doing
that need.
You're doing a pitch for the equipment.
Yes, I am, and I've already contributed some of my own U.S. American dollars to the Romero Institute for the purchase of it. Would you talk about what you need?
Well, specifically, we're raising $35,000 for equipment.
Yes.
It's basically a data asset management program and servers that work secure. We had been working on an internet-based cloud thing called Media Silo. We decided because of the security and the fact that we're going up against the FBI and Tiger Swan and other people that we're not happy with a cloud-based server system. We feel it could be compromised.
Right.
So we're building an in-house media system that can not only process the media and tag. Already we're at 10,000 documents, 15,000 documents, and duplicates, and they come in and police reports, and now we have videos and audios coming in. And it's not just about the trial, it's about coordinating it and going beyond the trial. It's about the education of the public of what's happening here.
Yes.
And so how do we go beyond, and with everything we found, look at it. It takes a while to sort this stuff out. So you can go to lakotalaw.org.
Yes.
And generally you can support, it costs us $5,000 a deposition. We're spending $250,000 to $300,000
But let's talk about, I want you to stay on this.
You want to get on the equipment.
I want you to get that equipment because,
I've got this.
We're not going to go through it right now, but this is the complexity of this. And I'll just say that what this system does, and I was talking to Danny Sheehan, one of the lead attorneys on this, it allows them in the courthouse to pull up exactly what they need to make their argument and get it very crisp, rather than having a team behind the scenes try to sort through 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 documents to get what you need.
Right.
And so it makes the argument much more effective to win this case.
Right.
And, you know, here we are being able to pull climate justice into the center stage as well as indigenous rights, both of which marrying together those deep values of the indigenous. So I just want to say to all of our viewers, and looking right into the camera here just a minute, please support this, whether it's $1, $5, whatever you can feel moved to do, and get on the RomeroInstitute.org's website and earmark it for this project.
Did I hear 5,000?
Well,
I heard 5.
Yeah,
I heard
5,000.
10. Okay.
Let's do it. Whatever you can afford. I wrote a pretty hefty check.
Right.
Chuck,
and
we need to wind down.
Yeah.
But did you want to make one last statement?
I just want to say it's about we're defending Chase and Holyoke, and we're going to do that, and you know we're going to win.
Yes.
What it's really about is the information that's going to come out and the precedent that we're setting, and how it's going to impact everyday people who have seen Standing Rock and perceived it. There are those that know that are following and continuing with it. There are those that don't know, and those are the people we want to reach and educate them about our Constitution, our rights, the environment, and how Native peoples and all of this work is globally something we all need to become aware of and embrace
and move on
and find the commitment and love.
So let's do this together. Thank
you.
Well, I know we'll be having you back on.
You got it.
Thank you very much for being a part of YourTown television program and Artivism. This is Artivism. Do it. Thank you very much.